From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Friday's edition of For the People on December the 8th, 2017. Donald Trump declares state of emergency over California wildfires. Pictures of prized horses being let go and rabbit pictures being seen. There was a picture of a rabbit. Somebody tried to save a rabbit, and they said the best thing you can do for a rabbit is not to go after them, but allow them to stay in their habitat, because a lot of times they burrow under the ground, and they can be safe under the ground, and because they have babies. So you don't want to do it. This is what a resident had to say out in California about his house, about what's going on here. All right, you ready? All right.
Very, very grateful for the fire department and all the fire departments from up and down the state and out of state. They're all here helping us. We never dreamt it would be back here again. We thought we were safe last night.
Yeah, a lot of them did, and it's just these Santa Ana winds kicking up to 50, 60, 80 miles an hour, just unbelievable, and then shifting all different directions. It's the worst case scenario, according to meteorologists and firefighters that are looking at the weather. And the weather has definitely not been the friend, but so many houses have just gone up in smoke, and the air quality there is terrible. It is a state of emergency. That's where it's at right now. Here's a firefighter.
Such a concern is because on this side of the Pacific Coast Highway, you have a number of beach homes. You can see just how close all of these flames are. There are firefighters on the other side spraying these down, trying to do everything that they can to protect this community.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do, the best that they can. But, man, you get with that many acres burning at one time, man, it's calling all fire trucks. And they're trying to do the fire retardant from the air, and it's just it's a big mess out there. And man, there's nothing worse. Hurricanes or fires, I don't know. They're both terrible. In Florida, we've had our fair of that, but it seems like California, for like the past year or two, it's just been terrible. And there's always been a little wildfire there, but it's now affecting just all these huge estates and breweries, not breweries, but the wineries and these big horse farms out there. And then right there in the Los Angeles, and it has affected just so many people, evacuated so many people from their lives, have lost everything right there. It's been a very very difficult situation, obviously, to deal with. So we pray for the people out in California that are dealing with these fires, and it's very scary to be out there having this happen. You don't know if you're going to return to your home, what you're going to return to. A lot of people say, oh, they have insurance. They have insurance. It's there's only so much money can bring back. You can, build another house, sure. But your possessions, the things that that have been passed down or generations, you just can't. You can't return to that, and there's sentimental value to it. I know you shouldn't be all materialistic and all that, but it's it's emotional for anybody that loves their home, raised their family there, have memories there. It's easier said than done. And for anybody that's lost anything, gone through like anything like that, and some people fare better through things than others. Some people can get through things. They'll just say, hey, I'm alive. We're just going to have to rebuild, and all shucks kind of an attitude. And that's cool, but not everybody's like that. Not everybody's happy-go-lucky. Other people, it takes a toll on their health. For a lot of them, kills them. Emotionally speaking, they just can't handle it. And they already have health issues on top of it, so this really doesn't add to it at all there. But lots of prayers. Hopefully the winds die down, but this is the time of year when these Santa Ana winds start kicking up, and that's exactly what's happening, man. It's like gasoline on a fire, man. You get that wind going there. It's hard to put out those flames, and they are pretty darn hot. Senator Al Franken's announcement yesterday that he'll resign sets off a scramble. According to a lot of the pundits that I've been watching and listening to, and Kyle Potter and Thomas Beaumont have been sounding off on this, so it's a pretty much collaborated thoughts here between the two. For the special election in 2018 to finish the Minnesota Democrats' term, the former governor, one-time presidential candidate Tim Pawlenty said he's pretty much seen as a top possibility for Republicans to cash in on this unforeseen pickup chance. Franken said that he would step down in the coming weeks after his series of sexual misconduct allegations. I think Franken stepped down, folks, despite what Ari Fletcher said or some others saying that he shouldn't have done it. I think he stepped down because he knows he was guilty and did not want to bring any more shame to the party or to the position that he was in. He claims he's still going to be a voice. Kind of a tough thing to be a voice for women. As, in recent months saying, I'm going to be a voice for women, but you've been abusing women. Don't know if I want to have you as the poster child for this. But he's going out blazing. It's like flames, man. Going out in flames. But anyways, this could be a headache for Democrats, exposing yet another seat in a midterm election that already has them defending 24 incumbents. So Republicans eager to recapture a seat that Franken won in 2008 by a tiny margin and only after a months-long recount. And they're also hoping big time that the sexual harassment scandal that engulfed Franken will saddle Democrats with enough baggage to help Republicans break through in 2018. A lot of electoral momentum recently has been with Democrats, and they're basically thinking that Franken's resignation will provide a strong boost for Republicans in the state of Minnesota in 2018. And who said that? Brian McClurg, a former aide and longtime advisor to Pawlenty. Republicans haven't won statewide in Minnesota since Pawlenty won a second term as governor in 2006, but GOP operatives see a positive sign in President Donald Trump's narrow loss in 2016 by just 1.5 percentage points in a state that hasn't gone Republican in the presidential race in generations. Goes on to say, I think this adds one more competitive seat to the mix. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner, who was running the GOP's Senate election efforts. Former Senator Norm Coleman, who served one term before losing to Franken, quickly announced he would not run in 2018, but other candidates could emerge. Pawlenty also eyed the U.S. Senate this year. Coleman won. He was minutes away from announcing a campaign in 2002 when a call from then Vice President Dick Cheney, if you can remember, persuaded him to not challenge Coleman. The former two-term governor has been weighing a return to elected office since a failed presidential bid in 2012, a year after he had left the governor's office. Pawlenty has been CEO of a financial service roundtable for 5 years after not seeking a third term as governor and trying unsuccessfully for the 2012 Republican presidential nomination. So the position with the leading financial service lobbying group in Washington has kept him close to national tax and monetary policy, including the GOP-controlled Congress tax plans this year. So he's been interested in the Senate. So there's every reason to believe that the conversation will be refreshed. Former Coleman aide Josh Holmes said. Holmes is also a former aide of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who largely responsible for candidate recruiting in his drive to retain a majority. Of course, Pawlenty, the news reporters trying to call him, did not return any calls or comments about this, but don't be surprised if he doesn't go after the seat. That's pretty likely. So pretty insightful, I thought. And, yeah, it definitely opens it up for the GOP. Now, I don't know what to make of this, okay, because, I am a Christian. I'm evangelical. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. You know the prayer. It's commonly known as Our Father who art in heaven. Anyways, he thinks the prayer needs to be changed. We're talking about a pope that he's kind of shaking things up a lot, but I don't know about changing the words of the Bible. He suggested he wants to make a change. Widely known among, again, the faithful, as he put it, Our Father. Specifically, the Catholic leader said in an interview Wednesday, he would prefer to adjust the phrase, lead us not into temptation. That's what's really got him annoyed. He's saying that it too strongly suggests that God leads people into sin. He said that's not a good translation. The phrase, do not let us fall into temptation, which the Catholic Church in France has previously decided to use, would be a more appropriate alternative. The phrase, do not lead us or let us fall into temptation. Well, if you can recall, Jesus was led into the desert to be tempted in every way. God allowed it to happen. God allows us to be tempted so we can not do it, that we can get stronger, rely more on him, and refuse to do the wrong thing. God allows a lot of things to happen. It's frustrating and it's confusing, confounding. It possibly is. But again, come on, buddy. Before long, we're just going to be erasing everything out of the Bible because it offends somebody. And he goes, well, we don't want to make God to be make him out to be a bad guy or anything like that. God allows things to happen anyway. God allowed the temptation to happen in the garden, but he gave men free will. Still does the same thing today. So lead us not into temptation. We pray that we don't, but he's going to do it anyway. Because it's a testing. And I got to tell you, for the Catholic Church, for those that loved John Paul, not the other guy, but John Paul going back, and I'm not Catholic, by the way. I know Catholics, and I don't pretend to be one. Nothing bad about the Catholic Church, other than this Pope. He's very, how do I say this, progressive, and not a good way. Just a lot of things are changing, and I don't think a lot of Catholics are very happy about all of this. He just wants to switch things up, change things up. I don't know what he's trying to prove. Trying to be the people's pope, everybody loves the pope kind of a thing, trying to just win brownie points among the faithful. I have no idea. But this seems like we're trying to kowtow to everybody's feelings, and that's just what the left is doing. We don't want to offend anybody. And especially God, as if we could be doing that. Of course, prayer originated from Jesus' language in Arabic, and it was then translated into ancient Greek and later to Latin. The Pope earlier this week, again, decided to weigh in on something else. Trump's announcement that the U.S. recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and would aim to move its embassy there from Tel Aviv. So what did Francis say? He was profoundly concerned. It appeared that everyone respects the status quo of the city. The status quo. Should we go with the status quo, Pope Francis, with the Catholic Church, with what's going on there, with the sex stuff there, the status quo? Come on, buddy. Should Israel have to stand the status quo of Palestinians blowing themselves up and chanting death to Israel, just like the Iranians do? I don't know where this guy's coming from. Honestly. Just because, he's there at the, people say, well, he's a powerful leader. He's got the Pope, he can do it. He's the Pope. He's the pontiff. Have some respect for you for the guy.